So at this time, I would like to call this meeting to order. I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So now all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all very much. At this time, I have a proclamation to make, and this is in recognition of National Nurses Week. And so I would like to call Althea Mills, the RN and Chief Nursing Officer of Stony Brook Southampton Hospital, and the other nurses to come forward so that I can make this proclamation to all of you. Please. I might have to put my glasses on. I'm going to come down.
Okay, Kathy. Where is Nancy?
I'm sorry?
Where is Nancy?
I don't know. Yeah, we should take
Right here.
pictures.
How about this? You come in
Do you want to go down and take
and we brought out one of your
Anthony.
Anthony, take pictures.
All right. So
Take
here,
pictures.
there's a proclamation. Whereas the Village of Southampton wishes to recognize National Nurses Week in honor of all the incredible nurses serving in our community, and whereas Stony Brook Southampton Hospital employs 460 healthcare workers, and nurses alone constitute the nation's largest healthcare profession. And whereas nurses are recognized for their special relationship they have with their patients during their time of need, and whereas the demand for such registered nursing services in and around our village is greater than ever, and whereas this year's theme is Nurses Make a Difference, and they are the forefront of healthcare directly impacting lives through their care, compassion, and expertise. And whereas Althea Mills, RN, MSN, has made a direct impact supervising nursing staff and care of patients in her 7 years of dedication serving as Chief Nursing Officer as well as Vice President of Patient Care Services. And whereas the Village of Southampton and its residents greatly appreciates the difference all of the hardworking nurses make in the lives they touch on a daily basis at Stony Brook Southampton Hospital. And whereas, along with the American Nurses Association, the Village of Southampton has declared the week of May 6th to 12th as National Nurses Week. And now, therefore, be it resolved that I, William M. Manger, Jr., Mayor of the Village of Southampton, New York, that I do hereby proudly present this proclamation to Althea Mills and all nurses in recognition of National Nurses Week.
No, you have to take a picture first.
Oh, here, can we do a picture with all of you folks?
Okay.
Does the board want to
I
stay up
want to
there?
say thank you to everyone for the recognition of the work that we're doing for the community. Thank you.
Okay, here we go. Thank you.
Thank you very
Again,
much.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for being available.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
So
Thank
nice
you so
to
much.
have you here. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, Althea, here's something you can put it in if you want.
Oh, thank you. Can't soil this.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. And now we will go to the Employee Recognition Award, and I will turn to Deputy Mayor Gina Aresta.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm always happy when it's somebody from DPW that's being recognized. And today it's William Banks, or Bill Banks as we call him. And everybody knows him without knowing him because he actually does all the planting around the village. He plants all the flowers and trees. So you probably know who he is without knowing who he is. But it's Bill. He's very quiet in my observations. And he's steady on his work, and he does his job, and he's great. John Flick, his supervisor, nominated him, and John says that Bill is an integral part of the Parks Department and has recently been planting the North Sea Road traffic islands, as well as the planter boxes on Job's Lane and the planters at Village Hall. As senior groundskeeper in the Parks Department, he leads our tree planting crew in the fall and spring. Bill is the backup supervisor for the Parks Department and is always up for the challenge, whether I am not in for the day, meaning John, his supervisor, or if I am out for a week. He can be given any assignment and will complete it not only in a timely manner, but also to the highest professional quality as well. Bill has an impeccable attendance record and always comes to work ready to make the village looking as beautiful as we all see it year-round. The village is extremely fortunate to have an employee as knowledgeable and capable working within its DPW ranks. So congratulations, Mr. Banks. Well deserved.
Okay, now we will turn to public comment. So has anyone signed up?
Yeah, good evening, sir. We have two people here for public comment. First, Mr. David Rung.
David Rung, Pleasant Lane. Let's contrast the current candidates for village trustee. Candidates Edward Simononi and Josh Beller have pledged to eliminate post-service lifetime health care benefits for the trustees and the mayor. This elimination will reduce taxpayers' burden by millions of dollars. Last year, everyone thought that the mayor had agreed to eliminate these benefits, but he weasel-worded his way out of that pledge. With new trustees, we can make this elimination happen. If the incumbent trustee candidates do not make this pledge, it will reinforce with voters that their concern is with their own self-interest and with no concern for ordinary residents. Candidate Simeone has pledged to work without salary or health care benefits. This is in contrast to the $60,000 that trustee Aresta cost the village taxpayers. And then we have the Carter issue. I would encourage everyone to read the editorial in last week's Southampton Press. This patronage hire is costing taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it's one of the reasons that residents' taxes are increasing. It's interesting to note in the correspondence to the board that you've noted in your minutes for this meeting that there are numerous resident complaints about the zoning change, which discriminates against owners of smaller lots. This change was voted on in the 423 board meeting, which was never open to public comment. This
False.
joins another major...
That's not true, Mr. Wrong.
Pardon me?
That is not true.
It is true and by the way, this is not counting my time. The specific
I'm not
thing
going to
that you
argue
voted
with
on
you, but
was never subject to public comment.
Just let him go.
Let me finish.
okay.
This is another major discrimination. This joins another major discrimination on how the village allocates a disproportionately high amount of village tax burden to the lower valued properties, while it subsidizes the higher valued properties with disproportional lower taxes. Not only does this board and these candidates refuse to address this issue, they even refuse to tell residents how assessed values are determined. This is another example of this board's complete disrespect for residents. And because of my limited time, I won't even get into the despicable treatment that my wife and I have received during the grievance process. The 5-0 supermajority, where the public never hears any alternative proposals, is not good government. The residents of this village deserve new trustees who will actually care about them, in contrast to the present trustees who act out of vindictiveness, greed, and self-interest.
Are you announcing you're running, Mr. Rung?
I would if
What's stopping you? What's stopping you? Okay, fine. Listen, I'd like to make a few corrections. I wonder why. I'd like to make a few corrections. The editor in the press did point out, actually, in a note under one of your letters, that I did not do anything other than what I said I would do when I was elected mayor, having to do with lifetime health care benefits. And the editor corrected what you said in your letter. No, this is not a rebuttal. You've had your time. Thank you.
You get rebuttal, but
I get to speak now. That's correct. And for all those that read the editorial in the Southampton Press last week, I would like them to read the op-ed that I have in the press this week, because I refute exactly what the editorial said, and I am on absolutely firm foundation that we did exactly the right thing, and we have the best person for the job as administrator of this village now in Anthony Carter. Finally, it is absolutely false that we did not have a public hearing for a regulation that went into effect at the last meeting. In fact, and council will back me up on this, the public hearing was held on April 11th, and then I kept the public hearing open for written comments for an additional 10 days before we voted on the regulation at the last meeting. So it is absolutely false for you to be misleading and saying that we did not have public comment. It's the law that you must have public comment on any regulation. You know that, and we follow the law here, Mr. Wrong. So I will not have you spread falsehoods. Thank you.
Can I comment on
No, you cannot comment. Thank you. It's just ridiculous after a while. Anyway,
What you just said is not
Okay.
it's absolutely accurately and factual.
Mr. Carter.
Thank you, sir. Our second speaker today, Mr. Joseph McLaughlin.
He's a former trustee McLaughlin. We're glad to have you here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to the board for listening to what I have to say. Within the past couple of weeks, I've noticed all the different new signage on the street, and it sort of brings me back to some years ago. In 1972, New York State abandoned the Sunrise Highway at Shinnecock Hills and Flying Point, and left the obligation of maintaining the road, policing the road, to the village of Southampton and Suffolk County. Now, in about 2001, we formed the Southampton Village Advisory Committee to evaluate the traffic. One of the recommendations was to change the speed limit to 25 miles an hour on Hill Street. The village consequently put up signs warning people that the village strictly enforces the speed limit on that particular area. Also, we had made the recommendation to bring the speed limit down on Hampton Road. And we went to we attempted to put a truck route to deny the trucks entry into the village. However, Chief Sherry had said to me that no, you can't do it because you cannot put a sign on the state highway. And now, thereabouts the year 2000, the village installed 5 pedestrian crossings on Hill Street. And with coordination with the state, we put in a bike path, one on the north side and one on the south side of Hill Street. Also, the speed indicator signs were installed so that people could know when they were speeding and take the responsibility of slowing down their vehicle. In the meantime, we all know we had all the explosion of traffic within the village. Mr. Rung and I were just talking a minute ago. He was concerned about the explosion of traffic. The traffic is not caused by off Hill Street. The traffic is not caused by trucks. The problem is people entering the village either in the morning or in the evening, crisscrossing and trying to find a way to beat the blockage on Hill Street. When I came down here, once again, Hill Street was bumper to bumper.
Mm-hmm.
And God forbid there's an accident on the highway, Hill Street is that way, the whole village is stalled.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in 2024, you had just passed the local law 6-2024, a truck route eastbound and also westbound in the village. Now, the traffic is, if you're going east, first you pass the Shabab,
Mm-hmm.
you pass St. Charles,
Mm-hmm.
you pass Sacred Hearts, you pass the Shinnecock Firehouse, and then you pass the Windmill Firehouse.
Mm-hmm.
Coming the other way, we pass the another firehouse, Windmill Lane, I believe it is.
Yeah.
And then we pass the high school area where they have special signage for the protection of the students in the high school and the middle school. And then you come to Main Street, okay? And then there's another firehouse, and then you have the police headquarters and so forth.
So, Joe, what is your concern? Just so that I understand.
I'll
Okay,
get to
okay.
I'll get to my concern. I'm sorry I'm so windy. So my main concern is the village. Now, the route that you're talking about basically is close to 300 years old. It's one of the first little routes, except for Main Street there,
Mhm.
and now we have trucks trying to manipulate their way, tractor trailers, and so forth, snaking through the village. Is this the type of village that we want? No. What is the solution? The solution may be to get to the state from a legal point of view, have them fulfill their obligation of providing a highway through these that congested area. And therefore, they would be bypassing the village, and then because in order to stop the blockage, the state will have to put a 4-lane highway.
Yeah.
Right now, when you get to in the eastern part of the village, the main road is only 2 lanes, and etc.
You're right. No, I understand exactly what we're talking about, and we have been talking to the county and the town about what can be done about re-engineering County Road 39. And if it has to be widened, I think there's going to be some eminent domain that has to be looked at as well, because we're running out of room there. So it's going to be quite a process. But there might be ways to re-engineer the road and for example, eliminate some of the stop signs, or the stop lights, I should say, that halt the traffic. And if there was a way to keep the traffic flowing, I think you would keep many more cars and trucks up on County Road 39, as opposed to turning off and then coming through on residential streets in the village. So I am on the task force that the village has set up and have had conversations with Ed Romaine from the county, as well as our legislator and others, about what we can do to try and augment County Road 39 to keep the traffic there as opposed to in the village.
Okay, well, I understand what you're saying, but the big thing is, how about New York State? Years ago, there was a plan to come
Oh, I know,
to
yeah.
build a highway up
Yeah.
north of the cemetery,
And it was killed in the early 70s, yeah, yeah.
and then up to,
Yeah.
up to the Lilco high wires.
Yeah.
And to build a road right up there, and then we could bury the electrical lines.
Yep.
And you could have a 4-lane highway following.
Yeah, no, I understand exactly what you're saying.
Route.
So, all right, Joe, I appreciate it. We have a few other people I think that want to speak. So, but
Okay.
we will take this into consideration and continue to work with state, county, and town officials to see what can be done about making some of these improvements you're
Okay,
talking
well,
about.
Thank you for listening. to
No,
me.
thank you very much for coming in, Joe. It's good to see you again. I remember when you used to sit up here with me.
Thank you, sir. Do we have anybody else? Do we have anybody else for public comment? Sure.
Rob Coburn, 345 Hill Street. I just wanted to add, because I've spent a fair amount of my private time doing crossword puzzles and looking at traffic issues. The big driver of traffic volume in the whole region is caused by the conversion of homes from owner-occupied year-round houses to weekend houses. That's what causes it. There are about 17,000 houses on the South Fork that have converted from full-time residency to part-time residency. The immediate reaction is, oh, fewer people, that should mean less traffic. But all the people who used to live in those homes used to clean their own homes for the most part. They'd cut their own lawns, they'd paint their own shutters, and all of those folks now require services to do that. We've also lost, because of the 17,000 houses, we lost 20,000 local workforce members. So to replace those jobs, let alone the 4,000 new jobs created, this is over the past 25 years, means we've got 25,000 additional commuters daily. We've got 5,000 or 6,000 additional service trips to provide the lawn and house cleaning services. So the drivers of congestion, the explosion in the last 10 to 12 years is caused by this demographic shift. And the three solutions, if we can make a bigger highway, that's great. The other solutions are public transportation and local housing, workforce housing. Those are the solutions. So I just wanted to throw that in to share some of the
good
stuff
measure.
that I've
No,
researched.
thank you very much.
Thanks, Rob.
We appreciate you coming, Rob. Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Do we have anybody else for public
Anthony?
comment?
Oh, Mackie,
Sure.
please come forward. And Sage, was there anyone on Zoom by chance? Okay, thank you. Mackie Finnerty, you have the floor.
Woolley Street. This is very quick. I understand next week is the week that the leaf blower law goes into effect on the 15th, and I was previously told that everybody would be informed, every homeowner, and they would tell their landscaper.
Right.
And I didn't get anything, and I didn't know.
Getting this in the mail.
Okay, because I talked to some landscapers on the street because I don't want, they're going to be the innocent ones, the guys actually doing it. I don't want them being fined.
Right.
I said, have you been notified? They said, no, we have not.
All right.
So anyway.
Well, we
I just
can
wanted
make
to
sure,
make sure
maybe that code enforcement also mentions this to the landscapers in the village that we see on a regular basis.
Yeah.
But we do have a flyer that's going to be
You can
going
take
out
a
in
stack
the
of these
mail.
when you leave tonight. Yes.
because I put them on the windows.
There you
Yeah.
go.
I don't want those
Oh, that's
guys getting-
perfect. And it's English and in Spanish as well.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're
Thank you very
welcome.
much, Mackie.
Thank you for the
being
reminder.
here. Okay, if there aren't any more public comments, then we will just go to correspondence to the board. Anthony.
Sir, we had 9 total correspondences to the board. 2 one from Bruce Grossman and Wendy Lagman talked about Gin Lane and a water issue over on Gin Lane.
Okay.
I could address that, actually. What they are referring to on Gin Lane are the new bioswales that were just installed. So what happens with the bioswale, and you could see it in the back here with the North Main Street parking lot was just reconstructed. What happens with the bioswales is that the water sits for a while because the vegetation that's planted there acts as a filter. So sometimes the water sits there a little bit, doesn't go into the ground immediately, and that actually is a good thing because the vegetation, as I said, acts as a filter. So the water is filtered before it goes into the ground, and it stops it from running off. So what they're referring to isn't water that's sitting there. It's actually the bioswales doing their job. And I've been, now actually there is no water in there. It's just that we had those heavy rains a few weeks ago.
That fills
And it fills them up. And it takes a little while for the water to go down. So it's going to be less noticeable once the vegetation really takes root, and for them to mature, it takes about 3 years for the whole process. But that if you see water in a bioswale, that means it's working. So I just wanted
All
to
right.
say that so people understand it's not just water that's sitting there.
Thank you, Gina.
You're welcome.
Now we'll go to board
Excellent.
presentations.
We had
Sorry.
7 additional
Oh, I'm sorry.
correspondences.
Sorry.
Those remaining correspondences were all regarding a previous public hearing on Village Code. So I just want to just read the names of those correspondences. David Adams, Whitney and Alex Judson, Mark Schiffert, Joe Stiviletti, Juliet Rendon, Julia LaVolpe, and Sean Leonard.
Thank you, Anthony. Now we can go to board presentations, and we have
Chris Fitzsimmons
Chris
from
Fitzsimmons from Johnson Controls present here. So we look forward to hearing your presentation and update on where we are. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening.
Good evening,
Thank you for
Chris.
having me. I'm just
Chris,
gonna-
if you can, just speak as loud as you can into the microphone so that our viewers watching online can
Got it.
hear.
Yep, sorry
Thank
about that. Just going to connect with Sage so I can present up here. Bear with me.
Seiji, you got it? Okay.
Sorry, this is always the hardest part. I'm going to share my screen if I can.
There we go.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, Chris.
Got it. So let me just get this. Sorry about that. This is the best I can do for now. I don't want to hold
Oh,
you
it
guys
looks
up.
fine. It's all right.
Good. So thanks for having me. Back in August, the village and Johnson Controls partnered for a green sustainability energy solutions project. I've been asked to come in and just give an update. We're about halfway through right now. We're at halftime. We've done some great things in the village with the help of the village, the initiatives, public health awareness. It's a great project. When we first partnered, some of the goals were support the sustainability and resiliency initiatives, reduce operational costs, address deferred maintenance, utility incentives and rebates, Inflation Reduction Act, grant money, modernize building systems, improve safety, and implement a project between 2023 and 24. We're on track. We developed a really nice project with the village, the team here, and we met all of these goals. Once we're finished, we do measurement and we see exactly how much of an impact was made from these projects. This is kind of an eye chart, but this is the amount of work that is being done. It's a total of 59 kind of sub-projects through 11 facilities and roadways.
Maybe you could just read off the facilities so
Of course.
that the public and I can read that.
You
as well.
got it.
I
So
was going to open it on here.
items included throughout the village, but specifically at Village Hall, DPW, Police Department, Veterans Hall, Performing Arts Center, Ambulance Corp, Hampton Road Fire Department, St. Andrews Fire Department, Windmill Lane Fire Department, Antique Fire Department, 25 Job Lane, and village-wide street lighting, which is 100% completed right now. So,
Excellent.
yep. A couple of specific items that are 100% completed. Building envelope, weatherization, keep the climate in and the bad stuff out. LED street lighting, post tops, Cobra heads, everything is 100% completed. They will be reporting to PSEG so the savings can start to occur. Okay. LED interior lighting throughout, similar to what we have in this room. There were some other items throughout the village that needed to be done. 100% LED throughout all facilities right now. Roof replacement, HVAC efficiency upgrades, heating and cooling, make them more efficient throughout the facilities. Renewable solar energy will begin in the second half of the project. This is a rendering at St. Andrew's Firehouse. And there will be some carports and structures and solar rooftop over at the ambulance and police campus. Yeah, so we're pretty excited about that.
And DPW is also working with you for the parking spaces. There was actually a request from
That's right.
the ambulance, and because on Tuesdays it's always a little hairy parking there with the court in session and police, and there's a lot of traffic, and they actually requested more parking, so we're putting more parking in there with
Right.
carports that will have the solar on top of it.
Right,
So
yeah.
that's a big project there.
Working together to coordinate, as we expand parking there, implement solar carports to protect vehicles and support the usage at the campus. It's going to be a net zero campus.
Right.
It's pretty great. It's a good story.
Yes.
It's a great story. Moving on, if I can here. This was in the original presentation, environmental impact. The biggest part of this is carbon reduction, net zero emissions. We try to get there. When we're done with the project, we prove it, we see what we did, how much of an impact did we make. That speaks to public health. It's a real thing. People kind of have a hard time understanding it, but when you reduce carbon emissions through your new law about leaf blowers and even facilities throughout the village, it makes an impact. It helps kids with asthma. It helps adults, kind of live a little bit cleaner life. And we're all about that. Okay. We'll go back to the original presentation. Sustainability goals met or exceeded. We're going to exceed them. It's going to happen.
Great.
Public health, we just spoke about. The partnership with the village through Johnson Controls has been, bi-weekly meetings. The committee is involved, making sure everything gets done correctly, safely, and that's the biggest part. It's a future-focused project. Fiscal responsibility ensured, saving energy and money, and the guaranteed energy savings. That's all I have in this presentation. It's a great project. We're looking forward. I know we have a 10 o'clock meeting tomorrow, committee meeting, to forge ahead with kind of the second half of the project, get some solar going. It's exciting stuff.
Yep. It
Yeah.
is.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Chris.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
do any of the board members have any questions? Okay, thank you very much, Chris.
Thanks,
We
guys.
really appreciate it.
Appreciate your partnership.
All right, at this time, we have another board presentation, and this is on the Community Housing Fund by Mark Schiffert, the chair of the Planning Commission. Sage, I think he was going to come to us by Zoom. Is that correct? All right, if you could bring him in, that would be great. Thank you.
You can after the presentation. Yeah, after the presentation. That Rob would like to say something.
Sure. There he is.
If I may, Mayor.
Yes, please.
I'd like to give this presentation some context. At the beginning of the summer, the Planning Commission and we engaged in some dialogue about the nature of the work that they should do. And we had requested some specific items that they look at, some aspects of code enforcement in terms of financial penalties, which I know they're working on. We asked them to look at cell service, which I know they're working on. And we asked them to also describe how the town's community housing fund would work, since the village had opted into it. And this report is based on those communications from last year. So Mark and the Planning Commission, thank you for your participation and for your work in this.
So Mark, we can't see you and we can't hear you very well.
I think that Chris has to log out.
Did you log out?
Chris?
Did you log out,
You
Chris?
have to log out.
Sage, can switch over? Mark, do you want to try and turn your camera on? Okay, I don't quite get what's happening. If it's not going to work at this meeting, we can do it at the next meeting. We see your name now, Mark.
You see the screen that's shared?
No, we just see your name. Maybe something's coming.
Ah,
Now we
there
see it.
goes.
Okay, very good.
Eureka.
Okay, fantastic. So,
And just speak up a little bit, Mark, because it's hard to hear you.
all right, so I'm going to speak up. Can you hear me now?
Not really.
Says, can
Is
you,
there any way to
enhance
turn
his
up the
voice?
volume?
No.
He's too far away from the mic.
Can you get closer to the microphone, Mark?
Yeah. 1 second.
That's
Just-
much
that's
better.
much better.
Much better, Mark. Much better.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I'd like to thank everybody for the great work for the village, and very thank you for allowing me to make this presentation on that community housing fund. So on the community housing fund was just to make it brief. The community housing fund the idea started in 2019 by Fred Thiel, that recognized the issue of the lack of affordable housing in the area. And in 2021, introduced a bill to be able to add a tax similar to the Community Preservation Fund. You know, everybody knows that in the Hamptons, when we buy real estate, we pay a 2% tax that goes to the Community Preservation Fund to preserve the character of our neighborhoods and preserve the environmental valuable properties. And along the same way, came up with the idea to have a 0.5% tax on every single real estate transaction that would go into a community housing fund. And this was done, the legislation passed in 2022, and we had, these are here the main players that were involved in the creation of the community housing fund, which is really managed by the Southampton town. And they have, the community housing fund has now an advisory board, and we have Jay Dissing on that advisory board as the village representative. Now, Mayor Bill Manker was instrumental also in passing this legislation. And Kara Bag, who was in the town attorney's office, is now the person in charge of the community housing fund. So the way the community housing fund works is it's something that supplements the work from the housing authority or from the HUD, the urban development that provides vouchers and Section 8 vouchers for affordable housing, affordable housing. So the community housing fund, basically right now, through the 0.5%, I just jumped a little bit, through the 0.5%, it now has $9.4 million in the piggy bank as of the end of February. So this is before the March transactions, March and April transactions. And what does the community fund do? They have, and I encourage everybody to go on the town, the Southampton website to and read all of the opportunities that are afforded through the community housing fund. And basically, I'm going to go through a few of them here. First ones are to assist first-time home buyers. So in different ways than you get from HUD or from the housing authority. Where there you get a voucher based strictly on income. Here, although most of the grants are based on income, here it's also the first-time home buyer. And on one of the programs, you have a down payment assistance, whereby if the person doesn't have the money to put down the down payment, this community housing fund will provide the down payment, and the town will then will help allow this person to be a new homeowner. They have a shared equity program whereby if the person cannot reimburse the down payment that the town is putting down, the portion that the town is putting down for the down payment, there's what's called a shared equity program for first-time home buyers, whereby the town can will stay as a percentage owner of that property, and the town will get repaid, the fund will get repaid when they sell the property. In order to qualify to that program, you have to be the maximum is 80% of the average median income. There's other programs to remodel for first-time buyers. We have programs for employer-assisted down payment program that if you work for a business in Southampton, and there is the employer can help the individual buy or purchase house, community housing fund can also step in. We also have other programs that help in the production of community housing for sale and community housing for rents. So for the developers, if somebody is a developer, you definitely should apply for funding from the community housing fund, and also helping with low interest loans. And other elements of these programs include there's a motel conversion program that would help if anybody has a hotel and wants to convert it into housing. The community housing fund will provide assistance. There is a way to also readapt properties for it's called adaptive reuse program. If you reuse properties for seniors. And then there's a program for a volunteer home for volunteer essential workers. So if anybody who participates is a volunteer essential worker, whether it's in a fire department, whether it's in the ambulance department or other departments in the town, the parks department, there is a program there that you can apply to the community housing fund to get assistance for either rental or acquisition of property. The maximum household income in that case again is 80% of the average median income. And I just want to note that in Suffolk County we have one of the highest average median income in the union. There's also a program for workforce housing, senior and disabled. So I would encourage everybody to go into the website of the town and see it's called the addendum to the housing plan. And there is right now, as I pointed out, there's $9.4 million in that with the bank. So there's plenty of money at this time. And here, this was a chart for give you an idea from HUD that HUD keeps up a record on their website of the average median income for every county in the union. And so you can look there, and based on that, which percentage you are of the average median income, this will govern the amount of subsidies and the amount of grants that you will get.
Yeah.
And the last slide that I have here is a lot of people ask, what is the difference between the community housing fund and the community preservation fund? They are two funds, they are really independent from each other, they are two separate. And when you purchase real estate now in Suffolk County, you get 2% that goes to the CPF, which is run by Jacqueline Fenlon at the town also, and the community housing fund, which is 0.5%, which is run by Carabac. They are not, their names are similar, they are really two separate funds. So that's for the presentations. If you have any questions.
Yes, Mark, thank you. Can you tell us anything about the application process for accessing these funds by developers or others?
The application process, that's a very good question. The application process, all of the applications are online on the town websites, and you can apply for it. So it could be any developer, anybody who wants to develop their house or wants to create an accessory apartment in their dwelling, or wants to add another dwelling on their property that we do a workforce housing, we have those programs. So all the applications are on the website.
Thank you.
And it's a great tool for any property owner who wants to supplement their income.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah. Victoria, if you want to, you have to come up though, Victoria, please.
How many applications have been approved so far? You got $9 million. That's a lot of people who could be helped. How many have been helped so far, and what categories do they fall into?
Mark, do you have an answer for that?
So there are very few applications so far. It's really it took a while to get all of the applications online. So right now there are many applications that have been submitted that I don't believe there has been any funding yet. And that is going to come very soon.
Sheila, did you want to say something?
Sheila Pfeiffer. Hi, Mark. Just a quick question. I'm not clear on the village's role in this town-administered fund. Is the Planning Commission coming up with recommendations that the village would implement to get more people to be involved, or is it simply that the village is trying to educate people about it? It's just, it's a town fund, but obviously a significant amount of the money in this fund comes from real estate sold in Southampton. We all know that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in the village.
Yeah.
So I'm just confused about the role the village can play.
Well, we're hoping
That's
that.
That's a very good question. And there was a discussion when councilperson Tommy Scavone, who was one of the leaders in getting this passed within the town of Southampton, he came to make a presentation to the Planning Commission. And although that's true that a lot of the funds within the town of Southampton come from the village, it is a fund that's completely administered by the town. But there's an advisory board, and because we opted into the fund, we have a representative, Jay Leeson, on that advisory board.
And Jay is here actually, Mark, and I think he'd like to maybe make a few comments, but I'll let you finish first, please.
Absolutely, Jay should step in.
Jay, do you want to come forward? I think similar, Sheila, to the way, we go to the town and ask them for some of the CPF money, especially since, as you said, a lot of it's generated here in the village, we would have the ability to ask them for money from this fund specifically for workforce housing in the village. But Jay, maybe since you're on the committee or the board as the representative from the village, maybe you'd like to add a few comments, please.
Yes, I'll give you a little bit of background. For the first year, we really spent most of our time studying each of the hamlets and communities within the town and trying to figure out how they're different, how they're the same, what might solve a problem here but not somewhere else, so that we'd have a better idea of how to allocate our money, where to allocate our money. And of course, the whole time we were waiting for the money to start. It didn't start until April 1st. It was contracts that were signed after April 1st were charged the community housing fund 0.5%. So the money took a little while to get started, and a big portion of it has been dedicated to a property in Watermill that is on 27. It's just on the edge of Southampton Village. It's about 4.5 acres, and we're hoping that we will get a not-for-profit developer to put in affordable workforce, local housing apartments. And so those will be rental units. And I think our feeling was that rental units are probably going to get us the most bang for our buck in terms of getting housing for our workforce. But it's also probably the most difficult to build out here. So the land is expensive, the construction is expensive, and you've got a lot of competitors. So one of the things that I would ask this board would be to consider our zoning. And, my feeling is that the days of essentially multifamily housing that's being used to really generate $1 million and multi-million dollar townhomes should be over. And the only reason that we should give someone added density is because they're providing affordable housing for our community. And I think we need to really consider making that step. And we don't have a ton of land left to develop in any manner. But I think it's really important for us to be a leader in the town, to show that we're going to do the hard things to make sure that if we have a 5-acre parcel, that it doesn't become $23 million condominiums, that it becomes maybe 40 or 30 great rental housing units, because our workers deserve it. They can't keep driving County Road 39 every day. And I think all of us know people who are throwing in the towel and saying, I'm not going to work at Southampton Hospital anymore. I'm not going to work in this doctor's office. I'm not going to work in our schools, because my commute is probably, if I leave at 5 in the morning, I know it's going to only be an hour getting there. But at the end of the day, it can be anything. It's a grab bag. How many accidents did we have? How many people are all leaving at the same time? When did the rain start? So I think we have to lead. And I think the way we lead is to make sure that our zoning really encourages people to do affordable workforce housing. And then you can go to the Community Housing Fund, and these developers can get grants to actually help buy down the price of the land that they're developing, or perhaps getting some sort of permanent additional money above and beyond the 80% of the community rent that they would normally get. And there's lots of these programs that we're gonna be utilizing, and we'll also take ideas from anybody. We've already had probably 2 or 3 different people who've come in and said, well, we know you have these programs, but here's what would really help us. And so none of them have come to fruition yet, but we're certainly interested in doing anything that we can, because this is really, it's a critical problem. We've completely imbalanced our community, and we're learning that multi-million-dollar McMansions don't house workers who can actually keep this place running. So I hope you guys can look into that, and any questions afterwards, I'll be here, but thank you for the support. It's a great program, and I hope we get more money as time comes on. And in fact, I'd like us to make the split a little different. I think we need housing, we need open space, but there really isn't that much left. And if we don't get some housing, who's going to enjoy the open space? We're all going to be sitting on County Road 39.
Jay, can I just ask a quick
Thank you.
question?
Wait, Jay, don't leave
Can I
it.
just ask a quick question? I'm not sure it's even a possibility, but the thought just occurred to me. You and I have had discussions about Liberty Gardens. Is there any way that Community Housing Fund gets a place at the table in discussing the future of that development and making it more dedicated to local workforce housing than to people that are just going to be brought in from wherever? I understand it's going to be some sort of national lottery to bring people into that development. Or would the Community Housing Fund have any ability to alter the trajectory of that development?
It would have to, at this stage, probably come from the town council. But actually, I also am involved with the Southampton Association, and we put together a proposal where we actually did a grid of the Liberty Gardens property, the church up on County Road 39, and we transposed onto it a very similar looking development to Hillcrest. And we could probably get, between 15 and 20 quarter to a third of an acre parcels on that property, and do some sort of first-time home buyer affordable housing project. The problem is right now there's a contract with the owners and the developer, And at this point, they're waiting to see how that all plays out. But I think the great thing about that solution would be you actually would bring all the traffic, instead of going out to County Road 39, it would come down through Hillcrest. It would not be developed in one fell swoop. I mean, imagine what's going to happen when they start to do a 50,000 square foot facility off of County Road 39. For 2 years, that road is unbelievably going to be even worse than it already is. Imagine the cement mixers, the delivery trucks, and the 100 workers a day who are going to be coming in. And that was not part of any of the study that any of the traffic engineers did when they looked at the traffic issues surrounding Liberty Gardens. If you had a wonderful little addition to the Hillcrest area, those houses would probably develop over 20 or 30 years. And it wouldn't all happen overnight. Mm-hmm. And so you could actually do a controlled build out, and I think it would just be a win-win for everybody. But sometimes politics is not very good at win-wins.
Thank you, Jay.
If I may piggyback on Jay's comments, absolutely, on Liberty Garden, the Planning Commission did review a little bit the Southampton Association proposal to create the access instead of having from County Route 39 from Hillcrest, and I think this is a very, very good possibility, very good solution that would be a big enhancement to our village also, giving direct access for affordable housing to the village. And again, for as Jay mentioned, what the village could do is to help in terms of zoning. We have a very, very restrictive zoning code when it comes to multifamily in terms of parking requirements and lot coverage requirements. So if this could be, we could have show some flexibility when a multifamily project comes into the village, that would be great. But I think in all, this program, the Community Housing Fund, is a great program. I think it shows that how towns and villages can come together and deal with issues that are really a community-wide issue, not just a village issue or a town issue. So it's a great program for all. And we should be proud to participate. And the fact that a lot of it comes from the village, so be it, and it should be used in the best way possible.
Thank you, Mark. And I have a bit of an update. The village actually has contracted with our consultant, land use consultant, BFJ, Buckhurst Fishek Mar, on looking at altering some of the zoning in the village so that we could permit really more multifamily that would lend itself to affordable workforce housing in the village. They're specifically looking at doing that in the office districts because there seems to be some space there where that could be applicable. And so I believe they have done a preliminary plan of how that might be implemented in the village. And, I can certainly ask them. I think they were still working on it, but I can certainly ask them if they could do a presentation at the work session at the end of this month to give the public an update on what they're looking at in terms of trying to provide some affordable workforce housing in the village. I know that Alex Wallach, our village planner, has been working with BFJ on that, and I had a call with them recently. So I think we could get something so that, again, we could have an initial discussion about their proposal and see how what the public thinks of it.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jay.
So we are working on these things.
No.
The Planning Commission could be a great forum for those presentations as a start and invite the public to the Planning Commission.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Other final questions for Mark?
No, I'm good.
All right, then I think with that, thank you, Mark. Did you want to add something?
No, I didn't know if Rob or Sheila wanted to say something about the Johnson Controls presentation as part of the committee.
Because then we'll move on after
Yeah.
board presentations.
Yeah, I don't want to delay this. We're very grateful to have had the presentation from Johnson Controls. I think that our committee, we just met yesterday, and we had a discussion that was abbreviated because we had a lot of stuff on the agenda, but we know that there is a lot of money available through the Clean Energy Communities Program and the Climate Smart Communities programs that are administered by New York State. And I didn't hear any evidence from Johnson Controls. There may be some grant money that they're applying for or
Sorry.
doing.
Mark finally
There he
showed up.
is.
Hi, Mark. But, you know, we would be very happy to work with, liaison with Gina, with Johnson Controls, whoever it would be. Vicki should really be the one speaking because she has a lot of expertise about the money that's available. There is some work involved, and there's also a time limit. But it's all very doable, and I think there's real money there that can benefit the village. So we can't say more than that now, really, or unless Vicki wants to add something, but we are hoping, and I did send Gina an email this morning, that we'd like to get going on seeing if we can facilitate this.
That's
Do you
great.
want to add something?
Thank
Ralph?
you. Yeah, just very, very briefly. Really more as a private citizen, but I just wanted to say, I know when the solar array was first proposed for its initial location, some people felt inappropriate, but also felt a little blindsided. Just wanted to say that that initiative, the Johnson Controls initiative, I want to remind village residents that I think 3 years ago now, the village made a resolution saying that basically in any significant undertaking, expenditure of money, any project, there should be a primary focus on finding ways to reduce carbon footprint, reduce energy consumption. It's a mandate that the board and all village departments have. So these things don't come out of left field, and while there's no exact recipe and blueprint for what's going to be done, I wanted to thank Gina and others for other projects that they're doing. And residents should just be aware that these things are going to be coming forward and bubbling up. They may seem like they're one-offs, but they're not. It's part of a mandate we've given ourselves and part of a coordinated effort. This is a journey of 1,000 steps. And so
And they
these
all
little
begin with
steps,
one.
They may seem disconnected, but they're not. And I just want to make residents aware of the fact that more of them are coming down the road, I'm sure. And
Yes.
the deck will get reshuffled. So sometimes what was a priority today is suddenly number 10 on the list for different reasons. But there's a method to the madness, and it's important, and I wanted to applaud the trustees for continuing to pursue that.
Thank you, Ms. Colburn.
Thank you, Ralph.
Appreciate it.
All right, Mark, I think we're going to say goodbye to you, but thank you very much.
Bye.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so now we'll turn to the public hearings. Eileen, can you help us with some of these proposed local laws?
Sure. First,
Thank you very much for being here. Can we go ahead?
yes, okay. Public hearing, the first public hearing is a proposed local law amending chapter 110 of the Village Code, Vehicles and Traffic, by updating the schedules related to traffic control signals under 110-32 Schedule A, one-way streets under 110-33 Schedule B, stop intersections governed by 110-37 Schedule F, and yield intersections 110-38 Schedule G to reflect current restrictions. So the code, essentially what we've done here, the proposal is to update that section of the code that lists all the intersections controlled by stop signs, by red
Yield
light
signs.
cameras, yield signs, one-way street signs, etc. They were sorely out of date.
Yes.
I think it was a member of the police department who took the time to go through, at the mayor's request, all of the intersections in the town and provide the information that's contained in here. So this, we believe, is an updated and accurate reflection, and that's what we're looking to do here.
And we have the chief here. Does the chief want to add anything about this? I want to thank her officers for help with this because the code really was way out of date. And we really want to clean up the code. I don't think this has been done in years. And I took it upon myself as mayor that we should start addressing these things so that the code really is up to date and current. So after we are able to implement this code change, the code book should accurately reflect all of the signage within the village governing, as council said, stop, yield, one-way, traffic lights, and so it's just really a cleanup for the code.
So
Bill, is there
copies of the
a brief
code
way to describe what the average person driving around, what they're going to see different as a result of this?
So hopefully they should see almost nothing different because we've put some signs up in some places, but the code has not accurately reflected that. For example, we changed a yield sign to a stop sign. So this is now updating that, so it should accurately reflect what is out there on the streets, but there shouldn't be anything that they really see differently from this code change.
Okay, thank you.
And the local law has been available at the clerk's office. It's available tonight if anybody wants to look at it. And you can go through and see all of the changes. Really voluminous for anyone to read.
Yes, it's quite voluminous.
Yes.
Okay, so at this time, I will open this public hearing for any public comment on this update of the code regarding signage.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody want to come forward? Sage, is there anybody online that would like to speak? Okay. Well, I mean, at this point, I think since this is really just a regular sort of cleanup of the code book, I will make a motion to close this public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Now, the next is a local law amending Chapter 110-4 Vehicles and Traffic Penalties for Offenses of the Village Code to increase fine penalties for certain offenses under the code. This is Section 110-4, as I said. Right now, so in Category A, which is the general penalty category, the only change we're making is the initial fine for a first conviction was $50. That's being increased to $75. For a subsequent conviction within a certain time period, the fine increases from $100 to $125. And a third conviction within that time frame would be punishable by a fine that would increase from $250 to $300. Same is true in Section B. The initial penalty was $50. It's being increased to $75. And the certain violations that are contained under B2, they're being increased from $100 to $150. There's additional changes under paragraph D for a violation of 110-45, and that just increases the penalty to $100. And that's essentially the changes. It's really, our code, I think, hadn't been updated penalty-wise in a significant amount of time. Those numbers were very low, and at the recommendation, I believe, of the police department, the board is making this change, or proposing to make this change.
And it's really
Again,
just-
this code's been available, and it's available tonight if anybody wants to read it in word for word.
And we're more or less in line with the other municipalities,
We are.
surrounding municipalities.
Yeah, maybe still even
A little bit lower, yeah. Just about.
Chief, do you want to say anything about this?
Who's like,
Okay. All right. Well, then, are there any members of the public that would like to speak about the change to the, what's in this essence really parking fines? All right.
yeah, I'm good.
Any Sage? Anyone out there? Okay, then at this time, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing for this local law.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, the next local law that on for a public hearing tonight is a public hearing. Just make sure I have this correct. Okay. It would be a proposed local law amending Chapter 116-2 definitions and word usage, Chapter 116-38 site plan review, and adding Chapter 116-18.2 importation and exportation of fill to the Village Code of Southampton to limit and require a permit and/or a site plan approval for the importation, exportation, or excavation of fill to or from properties within the village. Okay, so currently there is no fill law. The other two essentially, we're creating a law regarding the exportation and importation of fill. The two other sections are just to help that along. One is to address that section under site plan review, and also to add some definitions to support the new rule. You want to talk about the new rule?
Yeah, and I would just like to say that the village used to have a fill limitation of 2 feet. That was actually removed some years ago, but now we've seen some instances where the fill is causing flooding on neighboring properties because of obviously the increased elevation of one property. When we've had heavy rains, the water goes obviously to the lowest point, and if that's the neighbor's property, they are the recipient of the additional water and the brunt of that rainstorm. So this is similar to a law that was put in place by Sagaponack, one of our nearby village neighbors, and it seems to be working very well there. The building inspector actually called the building inspector for the village of Sagaponack and asked them how this was working. He said it's working very well. It just requires that, again, if someone is going to be doing this work, that really have to have a plan that is reviewed by an engineer, and it has to go then before the planning board for site plan approval to ensure, again, that the water will be captured on the applicant's property and not going to the neighboring property or to the village street right of way. So this is something that, again, there have been some complaints over the last several months, especially with the heavy rains we've had and how this is affecting some people's properties. And we thought that it was time to have some sort of regulation for fill that's being placed on properties. In some cases, it's quite a lot of fill, not to mention the trucks that have to bring the fill in or the fill out of the property. So this is just to put some restraints and guardrails around, again, the importation and exportation of fill on various properties.
It also implements some fees associated with the importation and exportation of fill, but also gives the building inspector the authority to waive the permit fee for the exportation of fill.
Right. If you have to excavate
on a limited basis.
If you have to excavate just for a basement, obviously that is permissible. But if you're taking out more than what would be normal, let's say, or if you're bringing a lot of fill onto the property, then that is really what we're trying to control here. We copied the fee schedule from, again, Sagaponack, and again, as I said, our building inspector, Chris Talbot, spoke to the building inspector over there and said that it seems to all be working fine, no issues. And so at this time, we think this would be a good thing to add to the village code so we have some control over the fill that's being placed on properties throughout the village.
And it gives the planning board some review power.
Site plan approval, which is the proper place for this type of action. So at this time, we'll open this for public comment. Anyone from the public like to speak on fill? Please come forward.
I hope I'm speaking at the right time, but I'm representing the homeowner of 450 Gin Lane. And across the street, there was just, there used to be fill basically in the village in front of the pond. And there was just a gully created there.
Yeah.
And so they wanted just to kind of address that because there's stagnant water that's now going to be sitting there. It's just like a mosquito.
Right. No, we appreciate that. That's not exactly this, but we appreciate your comments. And I think Deputy Mayor Arresto was trying to address it in that it was created as a bioswale to try and catch the road runoff before it goes into the pond. I think some additional work needs to be done down there, and we're looking into that. We do have some extra money from a grant to be able to make some improvements there. So please tell the homeowner at 450 Gin Lane that we are trying to address this so that, again, it works better than it is looking right now.
Okay, excellent.
So I appreciate you coming forward.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to speak about the fill? Anyone on the board?
I think Jay has something.
Oh, Jay, please come forward.
Jay Deasing. I'm a resident of the village.
Jay, can you just lift up the mic because somebody said they didn't hear everything you said before. That's better. Yes.
Good. Well, I've been around long enough that I remember a spot called 40 Meadow Lane, which had a tremendous amount of fill put into it. And at the time, FEMA was very informative about giving recommendations and teaching the village and giving instruction as to what we should be doing on some of these properties, because fill tends to cause amplification of water movement if we have that dreaded hurricane or flooding or high tides. And so what you're doing is you're basically pushing your problem all to your neighbor. And so I do think that this is very much an appropriate thing, and I would ask you to look at those FEMA recommendations, because I think they have a lot of experience in many, many coastal communities. They make good recommendations. I think they're trying to do the best by the combination of the community and homeowners. But I think that way you're sort of taking any bias out of making the decision, and perhaps the building inspector can look at those and come up with some sort of at least guide rails to help you, because I know we're saying we're going to put guide rails on, but are they going to be 10-story guide rails or 1-story guide rails? So I think we probably want to take a look at that.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Good,
Jay.
Thanks.
Just to mention, we did put in place that if a property owner in a FEMA zone uses help me out, uses a retaining wall, that they can be no higher than 3 feet. And if they need to go higher than that, that has to be offset by another 15 feet. So we are trying to control, again, the elevation that we've seen in some instances by the use of retaining walls. There are some, in parts of the village, Meadow Lane I can think of, where they were built very high before we had that law in place. But the village did enact a law to control the height of retaining walls. So that is also to help limit the amount of fill. And certainly part of that was that the no retaining wall could be within 20 feet of a neighboring property. So it has to be set in so there would be a no fill zone for 20 feet around the perimeter of that individual's property, so that again that would remain at the same level as before any fill was added. So we have done some things like that, but this I think will go further in that again it'll just have other sets of eyes on these proposals so that they can be reviewed and again make sure that an engineer has determined how to keep the water on the property and have it not go to the neighbors. But I appreciate your comments, Jay. Thank you very much. Anyone on Zoom, Sage? Okay, well then at this point, I think I'd like to make a motion to close this public hearing on Phil.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. So Anthony, we'll go to mayoral appointments.
Yes, sir. We have a few mayoral appointments this evening. To start, resolved, Mayor Manger appoints and requests a motion for the Board of Trustees to approve Ashley Lynn Ruwinski to be appointed to the position of Public Safety Dispatcher 1, Southampton Village Police Department, at a salary of $54,987.79, effective Friday, May 10th, 2024.
I will make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees appoints Matthew Weeks to the position of Beach Manager at Cooper's Beach at a salary of $28,000, effective May 17th, 2024.
Okay, I will make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And by the way, Matt Weeks does an excellent job of running Cooper's, and he's done it for years, and we welcome him back for another successful season at Cooper's Beach. Okay, next.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees approves the hiring of the 2024 Cooper's Beach staff effective May 17th, 2024. We're going to start with the lifeguards. Their hourly salary is based on tenure. Head lifeguards, David A. Nichols, $32. Michael Purcell, $31. Following are lifeguards: Michelle Cardo, $28. David Q. Nichols, $25. Raymond Sweeney, $24. Ewan Purcell, $24. Emmett Wetter, $24. Jessica DeHart, $23.50. William Malone, $23. Griffin Schwartz, $23. Jaden Wilson Pepitone, $23. Sean Godfrey, $23. Patrick Matthews, $22.50. Georgiana Galvelez, $21. Galvin Johnston, $21. Johan Montero, $20.50. Isabel Palumbo, $20.50. Joseph Zimbler, $20. Following are booth attendants. The assistant manager, Riley Zorko, $21. And then the following are booth attendants. Lane Yastrzemski, $20. Allison Booth, $20. Nellie Nikolva, $19. Jenna DeMonico, $18.50. Ava Fair, $18.50. Beach attendants, assistant manager, Thayer Swartz, $18. Beach attendants, all the following are at $17 per hour. Santiago Arnold, Nathaniel Barber, Alexander Franklin, James Garwin, Max Greenwald, Ryan McDonald, David Palumbo, and Andrew Pilaro.
Thank you.
And that's all we have.
Okay.
Well, we have more.
Yeah.
I just need to.
So I will make a motion to
Thank you.
approve all of these various people to work down at Cooper's Beach this summer.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, resolve the Board of Trustees appoints Marcella Gambles to the position of seasonal office assistant in Village Hall at an hourly rate of $26 per hour, effective May 13th, 2024.
I will make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Resolve the Board of Trustees approves the hiring of the 2024 seasonal police staff with an effective date of May 17th, 2024. Part-time traffic control specialist, $20 hourly. Zachary Zenner. Travis Cranborg. Thomas Gross, Jr.
I will make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And that concludes all the mayoral hires.
Thank you very much. That was a lot, but we've got a busy summer ahead of us. All right, suggest resolutions. We go to Len.
Number one, resolve the claims for the warrant dated May 9th, 2024, totaling $997,292.46. Warrant number A-21, General Fund, and $986,797.25, warrant number H-12, Capital Fund, are audited and approved.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Resolve the reading of the minutes for the November 2022 Board of Trustee meetings are dispensed, accepted as filed by the village clerk, and the actions taken at those meetings are hereby ratified and approved. So moved.
It was just a correction. It was 2023.
What did I say?
2022.
Oh, and I even have my glasses on.
So say it again.
Maybe I should take these off.
Say it again.
Okay, I'll say it. Should I say the whole
No,
thing
no, no,
again?
no, just the so moved.
No, okay, so moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Southampton is considering amending Chapter 16 of the Village Code to further define the extraordinary circumstances which might warrant a board member participating in a meeting of the public body by video conference, and whereas a public hearing was held by the village board on April 11th, 2024, at which time all persons either for or against said amendment were heard, and whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Southampton has determined that this proposed local law is considered a Type 2 action under 6 NYCRR Part 617.5 provisions of the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, SECRA, and that no further review under New York Environmental Conservation Law, Article 8, is necessary. Now, therefore, be it resolved that local law number 17 of 2024 is hereby adopted. I will make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Southampton is considering amending 110 of the Village Code of Southampton by updating the schedules related to traffic control signals, 110-32, Schedule A, one-way streets, 110-33, Schedule B, stop intersections 110-37 Schedule F, and yield intersections 110-38 Schedule G to reflect current restrictions, and whereas a public hearing was held by the village board on May 9th, 2024, at which time all persons either for or against said amendment were heard, and whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Southampton has determined that this proposed local law is considered a Type 2 action under 6 NYCRR Part 617.5, provisions of the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, SECRA, and that no further review under New York Environmental Conservation Law, Article 8, is necessary. Now, therefore, be it resolved that local law number 18 of 2024 is hereby adopted. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 5, whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Southampton is considering amending Section 110-4 Vehicles and Traffic Penalties for Offenses of the Village Code to increase fine penalties for offenses, and whereas a public hearing was held by the Village Board on May 9th, 2024, at which time all persons either for or against said amendment were heard, and whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Southampton has determined that this proposed local law is considered a Type 2 action under 6 NYCRR Part 617.5 provisions of the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, SECRA, and that no further review under New York Environmental Conservation Law, Article 8, is necessary, now therefore be it resolved that local law number 19 of 2024 is hereby adopted. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. Resolved, the mayor is authorized to sign the amended contract received from Johnson Controls on behalf of the Village of Southampton, subject to prior review by our village attorney. The original contract was board approved on July 13th, 2023. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay, number 7, I'm going to make a motion to table this for right now. I think we need to work on the language a little more here.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Number 8, resolve, the Board of Trustees authorize Nelson Pope and Voorhees, NPV, to provide an engineering stormwater drainage feasibility study of Hetty Creek and Hill Street at a cost not to exceed $38,500 to be paid from Water Quality Projects, H. 8130.200, and be it further resolved, the board authorizes the mayor to sign the agreement with NPV for said services. I'll make the motion.
Second.
A discussion. So again, in consultation with the town trustees, we are looking at trying to have a better system, a system that currently is failing. It was put in with clay pipes in the 1940s and is basically carrying all the stormwater from Hill Street, from about the Roscoe development, all directly into Hetty Creek, opposite the Shinnecock Reservation. So we are trying to get a grant to improve and update this system so that it is more environmentally friendly as well, and that we are not just dumping the stormwater into Hetty Creek. We believe that we will, be successful in getting a grant, but in order to apply for the grant, we have to have an engineering feasibility study done first. So that is what this is about. It's asking the money for NPV to do this analysis of how we could improve the drainage and stormwater mitigation of a majority portion of Hill Street before it gets into Hetty Creek. So, I would like to make a motion that we approve this at this time.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Whereas the Village of Southampton's North Agawam Green Infrastructure Grant Project was awarded by the town CPF 2022. Now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Trustees approves South Fork Asphalt for construction service for the North Agawam Green Infrastructure Project with construction costs not to exceed $141,915. So moved.
Do a second discussion?
This is, because I needed a little clarification of this myself. This is the bioswale that we have targeted for Bowdoin Square. They call it the North Agawam Green Infrastructure Project, but it's actually the square in Bowdoin Square that we're talking about here. And this is also, as it says right in here, paid for with grant money, which is a good thing.
And again, it's to mitigate stormwater in that large parking area and that large roadway that goes between North Sea Road and North Main Street. And so I think it'll be an improvement. It'll also improve the way that sort of island looks in the center there. Yes,
So
you
all
made a
in favor?
motion. Second, all in favor?
Aye. Whereas the village board formally approved and awarded to the roof replacement bid proposal for the Southampton Veterans Hall and Southampton Arts Center to Eli Construction at cost not to exceed $149,500 for the Southampton Veterans Hall and $490,600 for the Southampton Arts Center. And whereas the Board of Trustees has expressed interest in replacing the old drainage infrastructure on Great Plains Road and has received a proposal from South Fork Asphalt at a cost not to exceed $28,754. Now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Trustees approves the above projects to be funded from Village Capital Reserve, subject to permissive referendum. So moved.
Second, discussion. The money for these projects, which are long overdue, something that has not been looked into in a very, very long time, and I'm glad that we have the executive director of the Southampton Arts Center here, Christina Strasfield, because she is contending with buckets on rainy days.
And she looks very happy, doesn't she?
At SAC. So this is something that should have been done years ago. This administration put money aside into capital projects, capital improvements. We did $1 million for this year and $2 million for next year so that we can improve the failing infrastructure in this village. So that is where the money is coming from for these necessary projects. These are village buildings. We own these buildings and we must maintain them. Also, the drainage has become an issue in this village, and so we had some complaints about an area of Great Plains Road that never seems to dry out. Steve Phillips had South Fork Asphalt come in and look at it, and so this is their proposal to have that repaired. I think this will be the 11th or 12th project that we have done in terms of drainage since I became mayor 10 months ago. So we're averaging one a month at this point. But they're expensive but necessary, and I think the residents will appreciate that we're improving the drainage system in this village that hasn't been looked at in many, many years. So with that,
all in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Number 11.
Thank you.
Whereas Section 117-23B, 21A of the Southampton Village Code requires Board of Trustee approval for the establishment of a restaurant in the Village Business Zoning District if, inter alia, the proposed restaurant will be situated within 500 feet of a residential zoning district. And whereas Ed Parker has proposed a restaurant to be located at 51 Hill Street, which is directly adjacent to a residential zoning district, and whereas Ed Parker appeared in front of the village board at a public meeting held on April 23rd, 2024, and presented his general plan to establish a restaurant at the location, and whereas the proposed location is in an area of the village where many restaurants are located, and whereas board approval at issue is limited to the approval contemplated in Section 116-23, and should not be interpreted as an approval of the actual plan for this restaurant use. And whereas the applicant is still required to seek the necessary other land use approvals required by village code. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve the location of the restaurant within the meaning of Section 116-23B 21A and permits the filing of any applications required to obtain the necessary approvals for the proposed use. So moved.
Second. Sorry.
No, second, that's fine.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye. It's exciting.
Number 12, resolved. The Board of Trustees approves Daniel Herrera as a probationary member to the Southampton Village Fire Department Hook and Ladder Company, effective May 9th, 2024. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the mayor and the Board of Trustees hereby ratifies the termination of the employment of probationary employee number 4975 effective May 7th, 2024.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 14, resolved, the Board of Trustees approves the beach event application for Southampton Village Volunteer Ambulance at Dune Lane on Saturday, July 27th, 2024, from 6:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. for 100 guests. Parking exception letters will be provided and must be prominently displayed on vehicles during the event. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. There needs to be
I think it should be
correction.
Dune Beach,
Dune
though, not
Beach.
Dune Lane. Dune Lane. Yeah, Dune Beach.
Do we have to reread that, or Eileen?
What's that?
It's Dune Beach, not Dune Lane.
You can just amend it.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, Gina.
Resolve the Board of Trustees approves the beach event application for the Southampton Bath and Tennis Club at 212 Gin Lane on Saturday, August 17th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. for 200 guests. Parking exception letters will be provided and must be prominently displayed on vehicles during the event. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees approves the beach event application for Southampton, Bath, and, excuse me.
You're the next one.
Yes,
Yeah.
I am.
Uh-huh.
Thank you. Resolved, number 16, the Board of Trustees approves the application for Schneps Media to host the Rosé Soirée, an event sponsored by Dan's Paper, to be held at Southampton Arts Center on Sunday, May 26, 2024, from 6:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. for 600 participants. Resolved.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees approves the Southampton High School in Suffolk Fort Natural History Museum, aka SOFO, to host a shark research event at Cooper's Beach on Saturday, June 22nd, 2024, with the rain date of Sunday, June 23rd, 2024. This would contain a small pop-up tent, several volunteers from the SOFO to provide hands-on educational material, awareness, and practical advice.
Motion.
Second.
All
in favor?
Aye.
All right. Whereas the New York Mets and Mets baseball and softball camps want to offer a week-long camp experience for children aged 4 through 13 in the village of Southampton. And whereas the program is designed to group the campers by grade and skill level during the camp so each child has a fun and valuable experience. And whereas the campers are provided a safe environment, including an on-site medically certified trainer to learn and or improve their baseball and softball skills while having fun, and are provided a special Mets camps uniform. And whereas the campers are invited to a Mets camp reunion at Citi Field later in the summer to watch a New York Mets game, and whereas the Village of Southampton supports outdoor camp opportunities for children in the village, and whereas Mets baseball and softball camps have agreed to pay the village $2,500 for use of Downs Family Recreational Park from July 1st through July 5th, 2024 to host the camp, and whereas Mets baseball and softball camps has agreed to insure and indemnify the village for all liability arising out of the camps and provide proof of said insurance as agreed, now therefore be it resolved that the Village of Southampton authorizes Mets baseball and softball camps to utilize Downs Family Recreational Park during the week of July 1st, 2024 through July 5th, 2024 from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. in accordance with the above. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Discussion, quick. Maybe not discussion, question. Do you think I could pass as 14? Because it sounds really good.
It sounds great.
You could pass as 14, but you won't fit into the uniforms.
All right. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Number 19, resolve the Board of Trustees approves the request submitted by the Southampton Cultural Center to host 2 concerts in collaboration with the Southampton Youth Bureau in Agawam Park on Thursday, August 8th and Thursday, August 15th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Resolve the Board of Trustees approves the Rogers Memorial Library to host their annual outdoor movie at Agawam Park on Thursday, August 22nd, 2024, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Now we will turn to the comments from board members.
Sir, we have
we have walk-ons.
7
I forgot.
supplemental agenda items.
So I would make a motion that we now entertain walk-on resolutions. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so let's go through the supplemental list.
The first one, whereas the Village of Southampton is always desirous to improve the economy and quality of life within the Village of Southampton, and whereas through the Suffolk County Downtown Revitalization Program, the County of Suffolk participates with local governments in the development, support, and funding of projects located in Suffolk County that will have an important and sustainable impact on downtowns and business districts. And whereas as part of the application process in conformity with Suffolk County Resolution number 808-1998, the County of Suffolk requires a resolution of the Town Village Board showing local support for the proposed project. And whereas upon the county's approval of the project, the town village would be required to enter into an intermunicipal agreement with the county under Article 5-G of the General Municipal Law, pursuant to which the Village of Southampton would be required to undertake and complete the project, and the county would be responsible for providing financing for all or part of the cost of the project. And whereas in order to provide county financing for all or part of the project, the County of Suffolk must obtain a leasehold, easement, or other real property interest in the site of the project, and whereas the Southampton Arts Center is desirous of proposing that the Village of Southampton participate in such program in connection with one, a studio upgrade that will include upgrades to the Arts Center studio, lighting, flooring, and entryway, providing safe and open access to a community space. 2, and a new roof to enhance safety and accessibility of the Arts Center location. The project total is $150,000, combining the roof work and the studio upgrade. The village has applied for $75,000 under the grant program and will contribute $70,000 match, with Arts Center providing a $5,000 match, a combined 50% match to this project totaling $75,000. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village Board and the Village of Southampton hereby states its support of the lighting upgrade project proposed by the Arts Center pursuant to the Suffolk County Downtown Revitalization Program through the Village of Southampton, and be it further resolved that the town village shall take all necessary action to obtain the required easement, lease permit, or other real property interest in the site of the project from the Village of Southampton, and be it further resolved that the Village Board authorizes the mayor to sign any and all necessary documents, including but not limited to the required easement lease documents and an intermunicipal agreement subject to review and approval of the village attorney to participate in the above referenced program. So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Okay.
Eileen, could you tell us a little bit about what you think they're asking for in the?
This is the first. This is the first I've seen of it.
Okay.
So I really would have to look at it.
Okay.
To give you an answer.
All right. Well, since again we can approve this, but it's subject to your approval,
Right.
you could actually, decide that this was not a good thing to do.
You're talking about with respect to the easements?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Well, the easements and everything are going to be subject to our approval. I think they just
Right.
wanted it looks to me like they wanted a general resolution of support so that the.
Right. So we can do
you're
the general.
generally
yeah.
interested in supporting this project, and then we'll move forward.
Right.
And
Okay.
subject to obviously the approval of everybody.
I'm
And
assuming
we,
time
we
is
have to
of the
make
essence.
Yes.
a lot
Yes.
more
The
approvals
deadline
as
for
we
the-
go along. Yeah.
The grant is like very soon.
Yeah.
So, well, at this point then, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. So that will give them the knowledge that we are interested in this, and we'll have to then look at the agreements, obviously, before this would be finalized, but we also have to be awarded the grant.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know who wrote these. Yeah.
Let's go to 2 then.
Okay, number 2, whereas the proposed project is classified as a type 2 action, and as such, no environmental assessment form is required as per section 617.5 C 2 and 9 of the State Environmental Quality Review Act, SECRA, which are as follows. 2, replacement, rehabilitation, or reconstruction of a structure or facility in kind on the same site, including upgrading buildings to meet building energy or fire codes, unless such action meets or exceeds any of the thresholds in section 617.4 of this part, and 9, construction or expansion of a primary or accessory appurtenant non-residential structure or facility involving less than 4,000 square feet of gross floor area and not involving a change in zoning or a use variance and consistent with local land use controls, but not radio communication or microwave transmission facilities. And now therefore, no further review under secret is required. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Village Board of the Village of Southampton hereby states its support of the Southampton Arts Center project proposed pursuant to the Suffolk County Downtown Revitalization Program through the Village of Southampton, and be it further resolved that the Southampton Village Board authorizes the mayor and/or deputy to sign any and all necessary documents, including but not limited to the required easement lease documents and an intermunicipal agreement subject to review and approval of the village attorney to participate in the above referenced program. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Supplemental item 3, resolve the Board of Trustees approves Nicholas Colatzos as a probationary member to the Southampton Village Fire Department, Agawam Engine Company 1, effective May 9th, 2024. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. Resolve the Board of Trustees authorizes the Commission on Veterans Patriotic Events to hold a short parade in honor of Memorial Day on Monday, May 27th at 2024 at 10:45 a.m. The service will immediately follow at Agawam Park at 11 a.m. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. Resolve the Board of Trustees authorizes the Commission on Veterans Patriotic Events to host their annual July 4th parade at 10 a.m. Applications to participate in the parade are available at Village Hall. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Whereas in the Suffolk County Downtown Revitalization Program, the County of Suffolk participates with the local governments in the development, support, and funding of projects located in Suffolk County that will have an important and sustainable impact on downtowns and business districts. And whereas, as part of the application process conforming with Suffolk County Resolution Number 808-5998, the County of Suffolk requires a resolution of the town/village board showing local support for the proposed project. And whereas, upon the county's approval of the project, the town/village would be required to enter into an intermunicipal agreement with the county under Article 5G of the General Municipal Law, to which the Village of Southampton would be required to undertake and complete the project, and the county would be responsible for providing financing for all or part of the cost of the project. And whereas, in order to provide county financing for all or part of the project, the County of Suffolk must obtain a leasehold easement or other real property interest in the site of the project. And whereas the East End African American Museum and Center for Excellence, DBS Southampton African American Museum, SAM, it deserves of proposing that the Village of Southampton participate in such program in connection with SAM handicap upgrade project, which includes the installation of an outdoor lift. The project total is $20,000. The village has applied for $10,000 under the program and will also contribute $10,000, a 50% match to this project. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Village Board of the Village of Southampton hereby states its support of the lighting upgrade project proposed by the Southampton Arts Center to the Suffolk County Downtown Revitalization Program through the Village of Southampton, and be it further resolved that the town village shall take all necessary action to obtain the required easement, lease, permit, or other real property interest in the site of the project from the Village of Town of Southampton according to the details within the intermunicipal agreement IMA signed 1/28/2009, and be it further resolved that the village board authorizes the mayor to sign and any and all necessary documents, including but not limited to the required easement, lease documents, intermunicipal agreements, subject to review and approval of the village attorney to participate in the above referenced program. Whereas.
We have to
No,
go
that's
motion
not
first.
one. So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 7, whereas the proposed project for the classified as a type 2 action as such, no environmental or easement form or requirement as per 617.5 and the State Environmental Quality Review Act, etc., which are as follows. Replacement, rehabilitation, or reconstruction of the structure or facility in kind on the same site, including upgrading buildings to meet building energy or fire codes unless such action meets or exceeds any of the thresholds in section 617.4 of this part, and construction or expansion of a primary or accessory permanent non-residential structure or facility involving less than 4,000 square feet of gross floor area and not involving a change in zoning or use variance inconsistent with local land use controls, but not radio communications or microwave transmission facilities, and therefore no further review of the secret is required. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Village Board of the Village of Southampton hereby states its support of the Southampton African American Museum (SAM) project proposed pursuit of the Suffolk County Downtown Revitalization Program through the Village of Southampton, and be it further resolved that the Southampton Village Board authorizes the mayor and or deputy to sign any and all necessary documents, including but not limited to the required easement, lease documents, and agreement, subject to review and approval of the village attorney to participate in the above referenced program.
So I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Okay. With that now, we've gone through the supplemental. We will now go back to comments from board members, and we'll start with Deputy Mayor Aresta.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I'd like to comment about April 26th. We had a very successful Arbor Day here, right in the Agawam Park. We planted a new tree. I was happy that my fellow trustees, the mayor, were there as well. We had a great turnout from the children of from Our Lady of the Hamptons, and Southampton Youth Association also had a camp that was going on at the Cultural Center. So they came over. We had a terrific turnout and a great day, and everybody participated and with the shovel, and the kids were so excited. It was really great. So I'm happy that this is our second year as Tree City USA, and was our third celebration of Arbor Day, so it was very nice. The DPW is getting summer ready. They'll be in time for Memorial Day. They're getting the flower boxes all planted, and we are working on the 2 new entrances into our village. As you could see on Hill Street, there's a new walkway there, and the plantings are in now, and also on North Sea Road. That's North Sea Road, right? At the other entrance, and they're just about finished. Now they're working on lighting, so we'll have proper lighting coming into the village as well. So a big project, and it's a great project. A little more, I should announce this before when there were people here when we were talking about the environment, but early next week you're going to see little robo mowers around the village. There's going to be 2. We're doing a pilot program for battery operated lawnmowers. So there's going to be one at the Hampton Road Firehouse, and there's going to be one where the bioswale is on Nugent and Windmill Lanes. So if you see these little things going around, it's not from Stevenson's toy store, but they're actual mowers. Battery operated, they're silent, they don't make no noise, they're environmentally friendly, they mulch the grass right back into the ground. And so I'm excited to get that going. And also, as Mackie Finnerty, part of my announcement tonight is to remind everybody that this is going to be the end of the gas leaf blowers, gas-powered leaf mowers. So that's done May 15th. So May 16th, you're not going to hear those anymore. I was very happy to be part of that task force that I put together when I first became trustee, almost 4 years ago now, and we brought together people, landscapers and residents and people from the environmental committee, and we kind of it was a 3-year process to ban them so landscapers could get the proper equipment that they need to do the work that needs to be done. But that's coming to an end, so that's just a reminder. And that's it. It's a lot happening. It's exciting. I'm very happy. I'm excited for SAC too. So it's all great news. So you can hopefully remove those buckets soon.
Thank you, Trustee Resta. We'll go to Trustee Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. I too am quite excited and proud to be appointed as liaison for Southampton Arts Center. And we're also excited. I'm sure that the village is rejoicing. You're a big part of the center of the village. You keep the historic charm. You're part of our downtown revitalization, where we have people coming from around the world and seeing our art. And this is just the type of people that we want to entertain in our village. So I commend our mayor for moving forward on this. I thank all my trustees for the support. I celebrate with you, and good night. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Brown. We'll go to Trustee Stevenson.
Thank you, Mayor. I've been working with village resident Eldon Scott and Nancy Kane on coming up with ideas for rejuvenating the village business district, and I'm happy to say that we are gearing up for a fantastic summer. The West Main Street parking lot has been repaved and redesigned with plantings and bioswales to give more beautiful parking for everybody. And thanks to Trustee Aresta supervision, Village Hall's facelift is almost complete. And planting boxes, thanks to our employee of the month, William Banks, are being filled with flowers and making the village look beautiful. And other great news is that our wonderful Village Improvement Association has recently agreed to begin returning the gardens at the Southampton Arts Center to their original composition as designed by the Samuel Parrish, the original owner of the property. And it's going to take many years for this project to come to fruition. But once it's done, the SAC grounds will be as beautiful, a botanical jewel for the village. So not only will we have a new roof, but we'll have a new garden. And I just would like to point out that the VAIS is a private organization, and anybody who's interested in helping to donate to them to speed this project up, I'm sure you can find out how to reach them and send them a check, because they definitely could use it. It's been fantastic also to see the rejuvenation of the movie theater. We can't wait to see what lies inside. And just down the street, the wonderful building at the corner of Windmill and Hill Street is also being renovated after years of being underutilized. We're excited to welcome Provisions, along with what I understand to be a new clothing store, hair salon, and bakery to that building. Elsewhere in the village, Sag Harbor's Buddha frozen yogurt store is coming to Hampton Road. So along with spring flowers, the pop-up store fronts that have been dormant all winter will be opening and in full bloom soon. Food lovers will be able to continue to get fresh local produce at the Chamber of Commerce Farmer Market every Sunday morning in Agawam Park. There's also going to be some new merchants there, so that will be a new and expanded farmers market. And for music, those who love music, we have a full schedule of concerts in the park from the Southampton Cultural Center throughout the summer. Film aficionados will appreciate the SAC's Thursday evening family movies that we have a full schedule of as well. And the young at heart can learn about Southampton's wonderful history at the Southampton History Museum, the Southampton African American Museum, and the Pelletreau Silver Shop Museum to explore our village's amazing history. The Village Business District will be a vibrant, happening place this summer with great shopping, arts and culture, dining options, and more, all in our historic hamlet. I want everybody to understand our Village Business District plays a significant role in providing employment for local residents, reinvesting revenue locally, and supporting local causes. So we hope to see you in the village soon. Finally, on a personal note, I'd like to quote Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz and say, "There's no place like home."
Thank you very much, Trustee Stevenson. We'll turn to Trustee Zananti now.
Thank you, Mayor. I think it's important that we acknowledge the feedback we got from Mark McIntyre and his colleagues on the various land use boards. I think in a very respectful way, we came up with clarifications on what the extraordinary circumstances would be for Zoom meeting attendance. So I thought that was an important step forward for us. And simply, I'd like to thank Mark Schiffert, Chair of the Planning Commission, as well as the other Planning Commission members for the work they put into the terrific presentation tonight on the Community Housing Fund presentation. And thank you and good night.
Thank you, Trustee Zananti. I would just like to say that on May 1st, I attended the Executive Board meeting of the Suffolk County Village Officials Association, to which I was elected the Secretary and Treasurer. It was great to be with fellow mayors at that meeting from around Suffolk County. One of the issues that was raised, and I want people in the village to be aware of this, especially since we have so many volunteers in the emergency services, that OSHA is proposing a new rule that will definitely impact our volunteer fire department and our volunteer ambulance department, and also ocean rescue, because it is wanting to place a lot of new rules that will govern how those organizations operate, and it makes no distinction if it's a large municipal fire department or whether it's a volunteer fire department out in Southampton, Long Island. So the issue is that we really need to be vigilant, and I am going to prepare a letter to go into the record with OSHA saying that we would actually like to extend the comment period. Right now it goes only until the end of June. And there are lots of other things. We want a further definition of volunteers. We want it to be clarified and consistent. We think the regulations should be based on the size of the department and whether it's, again, volunteer or a paid department, because these rules make no distinction of that. There should be a more realistic phase-in period of these rules. And we really want to remove the difficult items that will really cost money, take time, and be overly burdensome on our volunteers in the village providing necessary services to our residents and visitors. And again, this is an unfunded mandate from a government organization. Certainly, if they were to impose this, I think it would only be fair if the federal government made money available so that we could comply with these very rigorous regulations. I also wanted to mention that the village will be installing new bike racks down at the beaches. They were part of a gift last year from a resident through the Southampton Association. So those will be installed in the next couple of weeks so that they're out by Memorial Day. We certainly want as many people to ride their bikes to the beaches as possible. On May 6th, I attended a drill of all of our EMS services here in the village. We had police, we had the fire department, we had ocean rescue, and we had the ambulance. And the drill was to respond to the scenario was an overturned fishing boat out in the ocean off of Cooper's Beach with fishermen, men in the water that had to be rescued. And the departments did an excellent job of responding to that. It was a great thing to do. I think it's the first time that this village has ever had all of the emergency services coordinated in a response to an anticipated emergency. And they had dummies that they had to rescue and get onto stretchers and bring them in and get them to, again, medical attention. And anyway, it was great to watch everybody in the village working so well together. Everyone from our police chief was there, the chiefs of the fire department, ambulance, and ocean rescue, of course. And it was great to see everyone working together for a common cause. And I'm glad to see that the village is staging these drills so that we can be prepared for any eventuality. And so that was great. I was joined by Deputy Mayor Aresta and Trustee Zananti, and we all got to observe the fine men and women in this village who serve us so ably. I also wanted to mention that this weekend on May 11th, there will be a celebration of the 25th anniversary of the Community Preservation Fund at Good Ground Park in Hampton Bays. That will be starting in the morning, and certainly everyone is welcome to stop by and see what has been purchased with Community Preservation Fund money over the last 25 years. The Village of Southampton will have a booth there, staffed by at least 2 or 3 individuals, so that we can show the different parcels that have been protected in Southampton Village, everything from Moses Park to the park on Aldridge Lane to the corner of Nugent and Windmill. There are several parcels in the village that have been purchased over the years with CPF money. We could always use more, but anyway, it'll be nice to celebrate the 25th anniversary this weekend. I'd also like to point out that, and I have a prop here, there is a senior appreciation tea that will be offered at the History Museum on May 14th at 2 o'clock. That's a Tuesday afternoon, and certainly would like as many people to show up for that senior tea. It's really a lot of fun. I've gone in the past, even though I'm not quite a senior, but it's nice to see everybody that turns out for that event, and a lot of the ladies get very fancy hats on, and it's really a lot of fun. I also wanted to mention that we have something new coming to this village, something that we had done 25 years ago when I was on the board previously, but has not, as I understand, maybe been done since. And that is, we are going to have, for 8 Saturdays, Village Hall will be open for beach stickers. People who want to pick up beach stickers who are unable to do so in person between 9 and 4, Monday through Friday, will be able to come to Village Hall on Saturday and get those beach stickers. So again, this will be starting May 18th, Saturday, May 18th, for every Saturday through July 13th, from 9 in the morning until 1 in the afternoon. So it'll be open for 4 hours, 9 to 1, May 18th through July 13th on Saturdays. Village Hall will be open for beach stickers. So I'm glad that we're able to make that announcement. I think this is a great asset for the village, especially when everyone is not able to get there during work hours during the week. And finally, and most importantly, I want to wish all the mothers out there a happy Mother's Day this weekend. I will be with my mother, and I hope everyone else is able to be with their mothers either in person or perhaps spiritually. But as long as they again acknowledge what their mothers have done for them, and I think it's really important that we salute our mothers on Mother's Day. So with that, I would like to adjourn this meeting and go into executive session to discuss some contractual and legal matters. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right, it's 8:31. The village board is coming out of executive session. No actions were taken. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to close this meeting of the village board of trustees.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you and good night. Good night.